Hello there, it is Carrie Rhoades. I am excited to be back sharing with you another video for the Dare to Be Artsy channel. I am featuring again this fabulous stamp set called Wishing Happiness. I love rainbow, and so I wanted to incorporate some rainbow into this fun stamp set. I'm going to be taking some scraps of cardstock. These are strips that I cut 1/2 inch and 1/4 inch size. I'm putting a piece of cardstock in the corner of my MISTI to use as my guide to line up these strips very easily, and I will glue them in place each one at a time. I like to use the MISTI because I can put the first strip all the way to the bottom and into that corner, and then they just line up so much easier after that, and it goes pretty quickly. And I am using the wider strip, the 1/2 inch strip, in the lighter of the two colors, and then the skinnier strip in the darker. So I have a light purple, dark purple, light blue, dark blue, and so on to complete the entire rainbow on this piece of cardstock. The cardstock I'm using measures 3 3/4 by 5 inches. So I'm going to have a nice little border around this when I put it onto my A2 size card. I am throwing in some pink there because I love pink and a rainbow, and that will finish off this panel. Now I have a bunch hanging off, and you could cut this off with scissors, but I really like using my guillotine style trimmer for this. Cuts it right off. I do have to cut a tiny sliver of white off the top, and this trimmer also makes that work a piece of cake. So there you have the completed panel for the first card. I'm going to arrange 4 of the images from this stamp set so that I can stamp them across one side of the panel. I'm going to ink these up with clear pigment ink. I've already treated this paper with my anti-static powder tool because I'm going to emboss these images with white powder. So I'll ink that up 2 times just to make sure I get nice ink coverage over those strips of paper. And I'll sprinkle on the white powder, making sure to get everything coated evenly. And then we'll heat set that with my heat tool to emboss those images, and I think it looks fabulous on top of this rainbow. I love making cards with the pattern paper, with the patterns of cardstock, and I think that it's a fun technique that you would love too. Actually, when I start doing it, I just want to keep making them over and over. So beware, it's addictive. I have stamped the thank you sentiment from this stamp set in white with white embossing powder, that is, and then trimmed it out so I have a nice sentiment that will go across my card. I'm mounting my panel on a black piece of cardstock that is a 5 1/8 by 3 7/8, so just a tiny bit of a border all the way around. And once that has dried, I'm going to mount my sentiment strip across almost center of this card. I just really wanted to place it so I didn't take away one whole color. So I still wanted some of the yellow and some of the green showing, so the whole rainbow was represented. I'll trim off the excess on either side, and then I can mount this whole piece to my top folding card with some liquid glue. You could also pop this up if you like a lot of dimension, which I do, and it would look fabulous popped up as well. So I needed a little bit of embellishment, and anytime I do something rainbow, I love to use these rainbow drops, which are at the Spellbinder shop, a product of Fun Stamper's Journey. I use them all the time, and you can see there's plenty in this container that it's okay to use them all the time. You don't have to worry about running out because there's so many. I love them. So I have one for each color of my rainbow, and I think that really helps to finish off this card with a little something extra. Now let's move on to card number 2. I'm going to do another pattern with these strips to create a rainbow. This time I'm going to make them go diagonally across my panel. This panel is the same exact size as the first one, 3 3/4 by 5 inches. I put it in my MISTI, although the MISTI didn't really help me to line them up. It's just what I was doing before, so I thought, oh, maybe the Misty could help me, but I really needed space all the way around for those strips to hang off. So this time I'm using the 1/2 inch as my brightest color and the 1/4 inch strip as my lighter color for the rainbow, and I just started in the center with my pink. If you have any glue that seeps out, you can use an adhesive eraser like I did to remove that, especially if you're going to be doing some embossing on top of it. Then I will trim off those excess edges. The first cut is the hardest because you don't have anything to put your card up flat against. I just use the edge of that guide that I'm pressing down on to line it up, and it worked out great. And there's the diagonal striped panel. Love how this one turned out. I'm keeping the stamps in the same spot as I did for the first card. I am inking them up with clear pigment ink, but this time I'll be embossing them with black embossing powder for a different look. So I would love to know which one is your favorite, the black embossing or the white embossing. Yeah, it's a hard choice. I really like both of them. So tell me what you think in the comments below. I did have a little extra powder on there, so I'm using a little paintbrush to dust that off. And then I'll heat set this and get that powder melted, and it looks amazing on here. I love this one. I don't know, it's the diagonal stripes. They're both good cards. It's really a hard choice for me. So I'm mounting that also on a black panel, just as I did before. And this time the sentiment is stamped and cut out. However, I cut this out with a pick scan mat for my silhouette. I do not have the die set for this stamp set. I will link it below. I'm not sure that there's a die for this particular sentiment, so if you have an electronic die cutting machine, it comes in handy for sentiments like this that you maybe don't want a fussy cut and maybe there's not a die for. So for those type of stamp sets, it's another way to use an electronic cutter, but there is a die set for this stamp set, so make sure and check that out as well. If you like the look of these flowers, I feel like it's kind of a Zentangle style of art. There are a lot of stamp sets in the Dare to Be Artsy shop with this style, so make sure that you look around for that as well. So with the addition of some rainbow drops, card number 2 is finished, and I'll bring both of these in so you can get another look at them, and I will save those strips over there for some more rainbow cards. I hope that you have enjoyed my videos with this stamp set. I did another one where I did watercoloring. I'll have that linked for you below as well. I love this stamp set. I think it's so pretty, and there's so much you can do with it besides just coloring. So I appreciate you stopping by, and I hope that you have a fabulous week. Happy stamping. Bye.